Radhe Radhe, Happy New Year and Happy Bhakti Divas to everyone. Today is Thursday, 5th January 2023. We're in the new year when we had our first class of our continuing series of Bhagavad Gita Recitation for Chapter 2. Here along with me is Mummy as we present this recap video.
Radhe Radhe everybody, wishing you all a very happy new year and a very happy Bhakti Divas. So we'll start with our chapter 2, verse number 41. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi ekeha kuru nandana bahushakahyanantascha buddhayo vyavasayinam yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadantya avipaschitaha vedavadaratav partha nanyadastiti vadinaha kamatmanasvargapara janma karma phala pradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishvarya gatim prati bhogaishvarya prasaktanam tayapahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhihi samadhau na vidhiyate Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigurnyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvastho Niryogakshema Atmavan. So, let's see one important word from each of the verses. Verse number 41, very important word I see is Vyavasayatmika. Vyavasayatmika means resolute. Somebody who has a resolute determination. Single one-pointed determination. Chapter 2, verse number 42, the important word I am looking here is avipaschitaha. That means those people who have limited understanding. That's why they go for the flowery language of the Vedas, whereas Krishna is teaching us to go for the divine part, bhakti part of Vedas. Chapter 2, verse 43, the important word is Kriya Visheshaha. That means Vedas, that section of Vedas which is teaching only pompous ritualistic ceremonies. Verse number 44, the important word is prasaktanam. Prasaktanam means whose minds are deeply attached. And usually what happens? Normal people, we are deeply attached to worldly pleasures. And verse number 45, a very important word is nitya sattvasthaha. That means eternally fixed in truth. That is what Krishna is teaching us. So over to you, Gagan, to explain the verses.
Yeah, so let's look at a quick summary of all the 5 verses. Chapter 2, verse 41, the catchphrase here is as a question, any point in branching? Really, we see Sri Krishna here giving this imagery that for those who are resolute on this path towards God realization, they really ought to be one-pointed in their focus and approach versus being multi-branched. So truly, there isn't really any purpose or point in having a branched or distracted approach. In the commentary, we understand that attachment is a function of the mind, and Swamiji introduces us to the concept of the antahakaran, made up of the mind, the intellect, and the ego. And we see that we are able to control the mind with the intellect. There's the example of working in the office versus working at home. So in summary, those who are resolute on this path towards God realization, that is the encouragement and wisdom that Sri Krishna provides. Chapter 2, verses 42 and 43, combined summary. Catchphrases: preaching petals, so the flowery words and language of the Vedas, followed by ostentatious opulence. So there are three sections of the Vedas: Karam-kand, dealing with ritualistic activities; Jnana-kand, dealing with knowledge; and finally Upasana-kand, dealing with bhakti and devotion. Sri Krishna here is saying that it is not enough to just get attracted by the flowery words of the Karam-kand, the sections of the Vedas that talk about material rewards based on ritualistic activities. He calls them pompous and ostentatious. And really, what happens is that one will just transmigrate and keep on circulating in the cycle of life and death if one follows only the aspects of Karam-kand. So one can rise to the celestial abodes, sure, but one doesn't have a simultaneous rise or increase in one's spiritual content. So you fall back on earth, and really to get into Sri Krishna's abode, it is important to focus on another aspect of the Vedas, which we'll see shortly in a couple of verses. Chapter 2, verse 44, worldly bewilderment. Very simply, again, going back to the point in chapter 2, verse 41, many branched versus one-pointed. So here, people who are bewildered by what the world and material aspects have to offer, such as bhog, which is gratification, and ashvarya, which is luxury, then they will not be able to possess that firm resolve needed to progress on the path towards God realization. So again, connection there between chapter 2, verse 41, and here chapter 2, verse 44. Finally, situational statement, chapter 2, verse 45. Sri Krishna here encourages Arjuna to rise to a specific state or a situation. So in the commentary, we see perhaps for the first time the three gunas, the three modes of material nature. We have tamas, which is ignorance; rajas, which is passion; and sattva, which is goodness. And we've mentioned several times before that transcendental to all these three material gunas is Sri Krishna's Shuddha Sattva, that super transcendental state of pure goodness, spiritually best goodness. And so Sri Krishna again is connecting Arjuna to understanding the Vedas. But now, what we said before, Upasana Kand, the aspect that talks about bhakti and devotion. So Karma Kand, ritualistic activities are also helpful because they prevent people from going astray. So that is a good first step. Perform rituals so that one can at least get some kind of material benefit rather than doing nothing at all spiritual. But then Sri Krishna tells Arjuna to rise even above that. Use the divine sections of the Vedas, so Upasana Kand, everything spiritual, to elevate himself to that level of the absolute truth. Once again, we shall now look at the recitation of these 5 verses.
Thank you, Gagan. And let's get back to recitation from verse 41 to 45. व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः एकेह कुरु नन्दन बहुशाखा ह्यनन्ताश्च बुद्धयो व्यवसायिनाम् यामिमां पुष्पितां वाचं प्रवदन्त्य अविपश्चितः वेदवादरताः पार्थ नान्यद् अस्तीति वादिनः कामात्मानः स्वर्गपरा जन्म कर्म फलप्रदाम् क्रिया विशेष बहुलां भोगैश्वर्य गतिं प्रति भोगैश्वर्य प्रसक्तानां तयापहृत चेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधौ न विधीयते त्रैगुण्य विषया वेदा Nistraigunyo bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo nitya sattvastho Niryogakshema atmavan. So I hope this helps you all in revising the chanting of the verses. Do continue to join the portal and look at the recap video for revision of the session. Over to you, Gagan.
Yeah, thank you, Mummy. And indeed, we look forward to seeing you next week as we continue this chapter 2 Bhagavad Gita recitation journey. So that's going to be next Thursday, 12th January 2023. And in fact, before that, 2 days or so from now, hopefully we'll also see you for Bhagavad Gita study, the sessions that we are doing for chapter 6. So that's going to be 2 days from now, Saturday, 7th January 2023. As always, happy learning and spiritual progress collectively for one and all. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.